Hello again. This is day 2. I'm feeling a little better. I think um, it's been roller coaster, a roller coaster of emotion today. There were times when I felt like I was okay, and times when I was falling apart, and times when times when it was impossible for me to see a day into the future. Do you know what I mean? Like nothing in the future exists or can ever exist. So yeah, a lot of ups and downs today. I want to address something that I said in my first video a little bit, because I talked about feeling alone and sharing this so that I feel less alone. And that's all true, but I also want to say that I'm not I also want to say that I have, my family, my mom and my dad and my 3 sisters are all very supportive of me, and they're all here as they can be. My dad lives overseas. I actually didn't tell him about anything that was happening until yesterday. But honestly, we talked a lot in the last 2 days. Probably more in the last 2 days than in the last 2 years. And then my mom, she lives in Texas, in Amarillo, but she actually, let me show you my apartment. She came up here and is staying with me to help me out. This is her cot that she brought to sleep on. I'm going to show you guys my apartment. I bought a TV yesterday. I have a rug. Is kind of where I'm starting from. So the important thing here is that, relatively speaking, relative to a lot of people, I'm in a really good place. Here's my bedroom right now. I have a nightstand. I have a bed, a very nice bed frame actually, but it is it's an air mattress right now. I don't know what furniture I'm going to be allowed to keep, so I don't really know what to buy or what to do. This is my closet, so I have clothes. The point of showing you the apartment is that, probably relative to most people in my position, there are probably a lot of people to whom the worst part of my life seems like it's not that bad. And it's hard not to judge my own life by that standard. Let me go outside. I actually have a balcony. You can see the city out behind me. And it's a gorgeous view, and that's why I chose this apartment. And I'm lucky enough that I can afford to do this even while I still have other financial obligations. So yeah, I wanted to start today by telling you that is just by being completely honest about everything. I'm not exactly alone, because I do have my family. I don't really have any friends here. Gabi's been basically 100% of my in-person support network for 5 years. But I posted on LinkedIn. It's the only social media I have, other than this, I guess, is LinkedIn. I posted on LinkedIn and kind of said what I was going through, and I've received some support there. People send me messages. One person, even though I've never met them, I'm not sure why we're connected, but they invited me to go just get coffee. They said they're on their third marriage, or they've been divorced 3 times or something like that. So that all, the messages, even from relative strangers, helps it feel less lonely. And so my support people are my family, and that's great, and I love my family very much. And in a way, this has actually brought me closer to them. I talk to a lot of them more now than I have in a very long time, and I like that. But there are things you can't say to your family, you can't tell your family. At least I feel like that when it's another person, right? A person that's face to face, a person that you care about a lot, and that you can see their reaction, and it's a conversation rather than like a monologue like this. There are things that you're responsible for them too. You can't just say and do whatever. I don't know. I feel like I'm doing a very bad job of explaining what I'm trying to say, but what I'm saying is that strangers on the internet can offer support in ways that people you're very close to can't. And that sounds crazy, but it's true. There are a lot of things that I feel like I can't just say. I don't feel like I could just stand here and talk like this to my mom, or to my dad, or to my sisters, or even to my counselor. So that's what I meant when I said that it makes it feel less alone. It makes it feel like I can just say what I need to say. AI, actually, I work in AI, and I talk to AI a lot, and one of the great things, there's a lot of things that are bad about AI, okay? But one of the things that I found really helpful is that you can say anything to it. I'll give you an example. I hadn't intended to give this example, but I'm going to do it. I have thought about suicide almost every day. Since I was 12. And I don't mean like, oh, I've thought about committing it. It's just always been there since I was 12, and I've been to counseling a lot about it. And I've been hospitalized a few times, and I've taken a bunch of different medications and everything. And like I understand that you're not allowed. A person is not allowed to kill themselves. And that's the term that I use, not allowed, because in all that time, in more than 20 years of this, I have not once heard an argument that didn't reduce down to because it's bad. And it's like it drives me crazy, frankly. Every argument in this area assumes that choosing to survive is better. It starts with that assumption. And so how can you reason through it? If choosing to survive was better, then you should be able to prove it from first principles, right? Starting from nothing, you should be able to build an argument that ends with choosing to survive is better. And I just haven't come across one. Obviously, I've still chosen to survive, and I still do, and I still intend to, and I still anticipate making that choice. But I've just never come across a good argument about it. But that's something that you can talk about with AI that you can't talk about with a human being. You can't talk about that with any human being. You can't talk to your family. You can't talk to your friends. You can't talk to your counselor. Anybody that you bring that up with is going to act like you're crazy. And if they can, they're going to have you committed. I know because it's happened to me 3 times. Yeah, sorry. That's something that I struggle with and something that I've been thinking about today. I talked to Gemini earlier. Gemini, that's Google's AI. And I kind of told it what I just said. And Gemini actually, over the course of a conversation with Gemini Pro, whatever, 3.1, I think, it actually came up with some decent arguments. They were specific to my situation and specific rebuttals to things that I said, not a general argument why choosing to survive is better, but it was really good. It's some of the best argumentation in that I've seen. And I'm a big math guy. I like math, and Gemini must know that about me because its arguments were very mathematical. And they were good. They were helpful. Okay, so I want to continue on from our story. We'll just share a little bit today. At the end of our story yesterday, Gabi and I had started spending more time together, and she had come to my apartment and fallen asleep on the couch, and I fell asleep on the couch with her. And her dog, Beano, was there, and he also slept with us on the couch. And then Gabi told me that being with me makes her feel safe. And that was early 2017. And so in spring or winter, early 2017, Gabi and I did date for a while, and it was very nice. We had a good time together. We enjoyed being together. We spent a lot of time together. And then we went on a trip to Denver, which is where I live now, where we both live now. But we didn't at the time. It was my first time in Denver. But Gabi's dad lived here. And so we came up to visit him for spring break. We were still in college then. And we spent a week up here, and it was me and Gabi and her dad and her 2 sisters, her 2 younger sisters also came up. And it was unlike previous vacations I have taken. And the week to me felt like everything that I wanted to do, I had to force upon other people. I don't know if those are good words, but it really felt like I had to convince people to do anything. And it felt like Gabi and I didn't have any shared interests. And all of this combined with a general feeling of feeling bad, general feeling of guilt. That previous relationship, the other one where I was not happy. I can't stand to be the source of other people's pain or suffering. So when I broke up with her and she cried and it was awful, and and I felt very bad about it. So that, coupled with the stuff from the trip, when we got back to Texas, I did break up with Gabi, and it was awful then too, and she cried, and I felt terrible, and it was a really stupid fucking mistake. Stupid mistake on my part. So yeah, my last semester, I think, of college, I broke up with Gabi, and I went back and I started dating the person I had been dating previously, and it was as bad as I remembered. It was as bad, if not worse, than the first time. And Gabi and I were in classes together, but we didn't talk. But I saw her all the time, and I cared about her very much. And then we'll fast forward again to September 2017. I had graduated with a bachelor's degree. I was going through a hard time of not knowing what to do. A hard time finding a job for several months, and I really wanted to leave Amarillo, Texas. I'd wanted to leave since like 2004. So finally felt like I needed to. Remember, I was dating this other person at the time. But I pulled a bunch of money together, everything, maxed out credit cards, everything that I could do. And I took a trip for a month up to Washington, D.C. for 2 weeks. And then I want to say Stanford, Connecticut for a week, and then New York City for a week. And I put together as many job interviews as I could during that time, because that's what I was doing. I was spending everything that I had in order to go stay at hostels for a month and try to get some jobs somewhere. And during that time, when I was still in DC, it wasn't going well, and I was really depressed, and this other person that I was dating was not very helpful with that, and I really wanted to talk to Gabi. And there was a night when I was feeling really hopeless and suicidal, yeah. And I called this other person that I was dating, and I told her that I was feeling that way, and she told me that if I was gonna feel like that all the time, then I should just do it already. She told me I should jump off the roof or go stand in front of a bus. She had several ideas for how I could end my life, and she told them to me because she was tired of hearing about it. So that gave me the courage, I guess, to nothing else to lose. So I ended that relationship again, and I called Gabi, or I emailed her. I actually don't remember if I called her first or emailed her first, but either way, she replied, and we video called, and it was good. It was very good, and we stayed on a video call. I don't know if it was the first video call, but while I was in Washington, D.C., I would video call her sometimes, and I would send her pictures and talk to her throughout the day. And I would video call her at night, and we would fall asleep together on the video call because neither of us wanted to hang up, sleeping on the phone together. And yeah, that happened in Washington, D.C., and then it continued through Connecticut, and then it started off happening that way in New York, But then this other person that I'd been dating, that I had broken up with, she contacted Gabi, and I don't remember the details. So I might be getting this all wrong because I wasn't there for any of it. But I believe she contacted Gabi, and it really freaked Gabi out. And so Gabi was like, this is too complicated. I don't want to be a part of this. Which is understandable, but it really freaked me out because by the time this had happened, by the time Gabi said that it was too complicated, I had already decided that I was in love with her. On October 1st, 2017, I knew that I was in love with Gabi, and that was the day that she told me that it was too complicated. And I was supposed to be in New York for another week or maybe a little longer, but I couldn't stay after that phone call. So I changed my flight. On October 1st, I knew I was in love with Gabi. On October 2nd, I flew from New York City back to Amarillo, Texas. And I drove down to Gabi's apartment. I hadn't spoken to her since I was in New York. I drove down to her apartment, which was in Canyon. And I went up to her door and I knocked on the door. And I was terrified, was absolutely terrified that she would tell me to go away. But she opened the door and she let me in. And I went inside and I don't even remember if we talked. I might have been too scared to say anything and just sat there. But she didn't kick me out. She went to bed and fell asleep, and I went to bed and fell asleep there in her apartment. And she didn't kick me out. And then in December, she had to move. Her lease was up and she moved to a new apartment. And she let me come stay with her in her new apartment as well. And that was it. I knocked on her door on October 2nd, 2017, and then we lived together until March 29th, 2026. I think that's enough for today. I didn't cry that much, so that's nice. Tomorrow, we'll continue the story with me and Gabi, because we're still real early on. Okay, thank you guys for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.